Sean wanted to spend the week or so after Natalie's departure just moping around. He'd spent years in his flat moping around, but for the last 18 months he'd had a job, working in a bookshop. Not a romantic comedy type, but a superstore of a bookshop, with more Starbucks franchises than books. He'd only got on the job so that he could save up to buy his best friend Natalie a birthday present last year. The plan was that she'd open it, smile, and they'd kiss. Not being a big reader, he'd asked his supervisor, Kim, to help him pick a book. He handed it to Natalie in a busy pub. She opened it later, but the painstakingly crafted label with a heartfelt message from Sean had fallen off. It was the best book she'd ever been given. After Natalie left for Australia, Sean felt as though his heart was missing, and no amount of Ventolin could bring her back. After the numbness had worn off, he realised he actually felt slightly freed, not waking up each morning wondering whether this would be the day that he finally got it on with her, because every day now he knew he definitely wouldn't. From this moment on, he falls in love with an average of 3.2 women every day. One night in a club, he fell utterly in love with 6 different women, one of which he even spoke to. There was a girl in Tesco's. Sean was normally a once-a-week in Sainsbury's kind of man, but one night he nipped into Tesco's to buy some beer, and there she was, on checkout 5, looking as resplendent as someone wearing a Tesco's uniform can. She smiled very nicely at him. He spent all of his time thinking about her and their life together. He fantasises about waking up in the morning after sex and her going to make a cup of tea with one of his jumpers on. He even had the right jumper in mind, his dark grey baggy one. Any girl would look gorgeous in it. In fact, he often imagined Natalie in it, and now this Tesco's girl. He wondered whether it was unhealthy that he never fantasised about the sex, just the jumper. To try and impress her, he bought lots of organic stuff. His flat was shortly to become a thriving mass of rotting fair trade kumquats, bananas and carrots. Then one day, just as he was about to think about having the conversation to possibly say something, she was gone. He tore up his club card and was welcomed back to Sainsbury's with open arms. A more loyal staff base there, but often more ugly. And suddenly, with all his heart, he missed Natalie again. Natalie had been missing him too. Australia was a big place, and despite going there to find herself and work her way around the country, she hadn't realised how depressing working for a living was. Natalie is 22 and has never really done a day's work in her life. Her dad didn't think she'd last a week, and she wanted to prove him wrong. She actually lasted 10 days before the first of many transfers magically found their way over wires and cables and beams of light from pounds on a UK computer to dollars on an Australian cash machine. If only Daddy had known that after the magic of cables and wires, the dollars would travel through hands and eventually end up lining the pockets of Christian, an expat drug dealer that Natalie had taken a shine to, as he had with her dad's money. The money then became white powder, which would continue its mystical journey up his daughter's nose and end up as dilated pupils in a heap of bullshit. Tonight she loved Sydney and wasn't homesick and thinking of Sean. Much. But Sean was thinking of her. At the depths of despair, he sends her a long, long email telling her how he feels, how he always felt, how he loves her. It's the first time in his life that he's let out this torrent of truthful emotion towards someone, even if it is via a smeared screen in an easy internet cafe with the L key constantly sticking and the V missing altogether. It made typing the word love a Herculean effort. He waits for another hour, hoping by some freak chance that on the other side of the world his one true love is also in an internet cafe, logging on, reading the contents of his heart and confessing her undying love for him. She wasn't.